Hello, I'm MJ Sims Maddox, author of the Priscilla series and a handbook for emerging and seasoned authors. The Priscilla series features a self-empowered, contemporary, professional African American young woman who tends to get into a spot of trouble. But it's the handbook for emerging and seasoned authors that I wish to talk about today. The complete title is A Handbook for Emerging and Seasoned Authors, an insider's step-by-step approach to becoming a successful indie book author and publisher. I know this is a long title. However, this is, after all, an all-in-one handbook that covers everything from your inspiration for writing to establishing a writing regimen to retaining an editor and literary agent to publishing your own work. Equally important, this handbook shows you how to convert your Word document into digital and ebook formats along with a word about audiobook conversion. So the title is long because this is not a cookie cutter guide. Rather, an extensive handbook for serious writers interested in improving their creative writing skills with the ultimate goal of publishing. So, how, you might ask, or how was I? What inspired me to produce this handbook? After writing several book-length manuscripts and publishing 4 novels, one of which was recognized in the first place category in an international book contest, and after speaking about becoming an independent author and publisher at professional development sessions that empower women to improve their writing skills with the ultimate goal of publishing, I was encouraged to share some advice about my writing and publishing experiences, hence my production of the handbook. Now that you know what inspired me to produce this handbook, ask yourself, what inspires you to write? While you think about that, please know there's no simple or correct answer to the question. Rather, whatever draws you to picking up a pen or pencil or putting your fingers to a keyboard. Some people call it a gift. My inspiration for writing fiction, however, was different. It came from a recurring dream that I had about a conversation with my father many years ago. As I wrote about that recurring dream, which was back in 1999, I found myself writing fiction stories about mysteries and thrillers. The point is not so much your inspiration for writing, but that you get started writing. Let's now take a look at the publishing industry today and some terminology. As publishing houses consolidate, merge, or dissolve, and with over 1,000 books hitting the market daily, over 2 million annually, there is a growing presence of hybrids, hybrids and indie publishers, and a corresponding availability of service providers to this new industry. The difference between traditional publishers and hybrids and the indies is that traditional publishers pay in advance to the author and publish her work. They handle the production, the marketing, the sales, the distribution, all of it. Once the book hits the market, traditional publishers recoup their investment from a portion of the royalties from book sales. Hybrid and indie publishers, on the other hand, do not provide in advance to authors for their manuscript. The authors, however, pay the hybrid or the indie publisher to edit and proofread her manuscript, to design the book cover, to acquire the copyright, ISBN, price barcode, everything, up to the final production and publication. A significant difference between hybrids and indies is that hybrid publishers must meet standards set forth by the Independent Book Publishers Association. so authors need not worry about the quality of their end products. Hybrids typically have experience with traditional publishing houses. As things stand, many emerging and seasoned authors are beginning to go this route, hoping to get picked up by one of the more reputable publishers sometime later. The amount of royalties, however, vary according to which publisher you choose. The choice is yours. This step-by-step approach that I designed is intended for authors who desire to learn how to publish their work as indies. Indies produce all the work themselves. As such, all of the net profits accrue directly to the author. I am an indie author and publisher. Now, if publishing your work proves too taxing and your manuscript has yet to be accepted by a traditional publishing house, it might be best to retain a hybrid publisher. It is enough that authors spend an excessive amount of time, energy, effort, and money researching and writing a book-length manuscript. It is another thing for them to then set about trying to publish their own work. In the long run, whether you publish your work yourself or retain a hybrid publisher or search for a literary agent, there is nothing more empowering than knowing you can publish your work yourself. My handbook also addresses writing standards. If, however, you are an academic and or prefer writing nonfiction, consult page 25 of my handbook. For now, let us turn our attention to the need to develop a regimen for writing, a routine. All prolific authors follow some sort of regimen. How about you? There are 5 basic rules that I follow and elaborate on in my handbook. The first of which is that writing is a private affair. Writing is a private affair. Let's take a look at what rule number 1 deals with and what it covers. This rule, writing is a private affair, might seem strange to you, but you must protect your intellectual property. Your ideas and written material belong to you. Once you share any of this information with someone else and you have not copyrighted it, you might very well lose your claim to it. I almost always copyright my work, even the rough drafts. In this way, I have something tangible to defend my claim. Think about it. Why share your valuable ideas and work with anyone other than your editor anyway? Writing is a private affair, and many other authors agree with me on this. Let's look at a second rule. Rule number 2. Successful authors write every day. Well, almost every day. Successful authors write every day. Well, almost. If you cannot find a suitable place for writing at home, consider going to the library, to a hotel, to a coffee confab, because distractions such as cooking, housekeeping, the ringing of the telephone, unexpected visitors at the door, or the presence of children and pets often create excuses not to write. So set aside time and a place as often as possible so that you can write. And once you develop the habit, it stays with you. When and where you write is an integral part of the writing process. Up front, I need to acknowledge this. I am one of those authors who can write under pretty much any circumstance. I can write in an airport, I can write on a bus, I can write on an airplane. Even when I was a college professor, I used to take a clipboard with my manuscripts into the auditorium when assemblies were going on. So it didn't matter who was on stage or what they were saying or doing. I would sit there in the audience and edit my manuscript. Not everybody can do that. Keep in mind also that sometimes ideas come to you when you least expect them. Record those notes. Jot them down, because if you don't, you will lose those thoughts. Also, keep what I call your confidence builders nearby. My confidence builders are my dictionary, my thesaurus, my Chicago Manual of Style, the MLA, my World Atlas, any reference tool that I need to use while I'm writing. Okay, you say, well, a lot of that stuff's already in Microsoft Office. Yeah, but I'm old school. I like to feel and touch the pages of my reference materials. But the point is, keep your confidence builders nearby. And of course, the primary rule, successful authors write every day. Well, almost. Let's take a look at rule number 3. Write about what you know. Otherwise, conduct research, lots of it. Write about what you know. Otherwise, conduct research, lots of it. This particular rule is found on page 30 in my handbook. In doing research, make sure that you use reliable sources. Today, lots of people go online to do their research. Look for official websites. Look for official websites, okay? You must use reliable sources in doing your research. Another point under this particular rule is use your skill set. A lot of us take for granted our background, our education, our talents and skills. All of that, even your personality, can help you write a good narrative. I'll give you an example. I am a preacher's kid, a PK. So too is Priscilla, the main character in my Priscilla series. I used to play piano. So too does Priscilla. I am a former professor of political science. So too is Priscilla. I have phobias, lots of them. Acrophobia, vertigo, you name it. So too does Priscilla. I once operated a public relations firm. Priscilla operates a public relations firm. I think you're getting my point. Also, stretch yourself. Don't just write about people, places, and scenes that you like and admire. Write about people, places, and scenes that you don't like. Write about material that's troubling, that makes you uncomfortable. In so doing, you lend depth and credibility to your writing. Again, a lot of this is elaborated on, in the handbook under writing about what you know, otherwise conduct research. A fourth rule that I follow is your writing is meant to be read. Your writing is meant to be read. If I didn't believe in rule number 3 and now number 4, I wouldn't write. I honestly believe that my writing is meant to be read. Let's look at this a little closer. Long after our generation expires, would it not be wonderful if some of our work was uncovered at a time long into the future and used to substantiate or to invalidate concerns of society at that time? Some of us are around during the virus pandemic, the coronavirus. Take that manuscript out your shoebox and get it published. You have no idea 50, 100, 500 years from now, what you wrote about during the pandemic might be helpful in answering questions for future generations, or just being enlightening. Recall the book, The Diary of Anne Frank. If that young woman had not recorded the experiences of her family during the Nazi occupation, we wouldn't be privy to that knowledge today. Also, people who are religious, the information that was gleaned from the Dead Sea Scrolls has proved invaluable today. My point is, your writing is meant to be read by somebody at some time, and it will be helpful and meaningful when they read it. So, like Edgar Allan Poe once said, to be appreciated, you must be read. Your writing is meant to be read. The fifth and final rule that I follow in my writing regimen is never give up. Never give up. Keep right on writing. Never give up. Keep right on writing. Becoming a successful indie book author and publisher does not happen overnight. For most authors, success, however measured, comes after many, many, many failures. Still, the many, many, many failures fuel one's determination to write better and publish even more. So be steadfast, because just like anything else that you and I do, dieting, okay, exercising, and we stop. Many people who set out to write also stop writing. So be mindful. Okay, so you had a bad day, you had a bad week, but pick up that pen, pencil, or go back to the keyboard and resume writing. Once you establish the habit, it stays with you. Okay, it stays with you. That's it for today's session, introducing you to my handbook for emerging and seasoned authors. Stay tuned for session number 2, where we will discuss creative writing tips. Take care.